50 Radio. You have now stepped into the fifth dimension.
Euphoric day. This is the launch episode of WokeAF podcast with host me, Miss Master Fox, and Miss Wisdom.
Yes.
It's a critical time for critical thinking. CT for CT. And that's what we're all about. We fact check the anti-woke while stimulating your mind in higher consciousness.
We're battling the disinformationists.
That's right. This time is critical because we're in what we call the Neo Age. It's also referred to as the Age of Aquarius.
Another period of enlightenment.
Yes. And there has been many different periods of, people expanding their minds or gaining more knowledge.
Right.
But this shift is so important because it is definitely elevating and upgrading our minds, our energy, and everything around us.
Right. And critical thinking is so key because we're experiencing a lot of disinformation.
Yes.
Being spread from multiple sources, from media to government officials.
Yes. And the main reason is because they don't want it to shift to that higher frequencies, because then we will be expanding our minds and, elevating ourselves.
Right. We have to be able to discern between the truth and lies.
Right. And we tend not to follow the leader when, we're getting more information or we're expanding our minds and opening up our minds to higher levels.
It's like Aquarius is an air sign about the mind.
Right. That element connects us to our higher consciousness and higher thinking.
And air transmits radio frequencies.
Yep.
So it's transmitting information.
Yes. And we are definitely channeling a lot of higher codes and neo information, or what we call neo codes.
Yes.
And this is going to help guide us through this evolutionary period.
And most likely all eras of time dealing with humans and society have had those codes when they needed it.
Exactly.
For their time.
Right. And society is just not ready to move to a higher level. It doesn't really have a choice. This is nature. And nature is going to give us the codes to go into the direction we need to.
Right. They say it, but are we displaying it? That we're ready to move into the future.
Right.
Maybe with tech, AI.
Yes.
But socially, that's another story.
Yes.
Look at all the issues politically people are still battling.
Right. And, to be anti-woke just means that you're having a limited thinking, limited mind. And we call that limited mind syndrome.
Right. You're anti-truth. You're anti-freedom. Anti-diversity.
Right. For what reason? No reason but to disrupt the flow of the way people, should live in harmony with each other.
And it makes no sense because fundamentally diversity is how this planet works.
Right. There's a vast and diverse amount of beings on this planet.
Diverse ecosystems.
Yeah. So why would we not want that within humans and within society? And because that's outdated thinking, it's starting to fall off. Anything that is outdated and limited will begin to fall off, and we will begin to flow in a different direction. And
Right.
that is why
Happens every time.
they're so upset because they don't want to get away from what they're used to doing.
Patterns,
Right.
habits.
Right. Yes, it's just like a drug addict. They don't want to, you know, lose that drug, that high that keeps them flowing in a certain way. But it's not good for everybody.
Sometimes those drugs are emotions, and people are addicted to those.
Yep. They don't even realize they do have natural drugs within us, hormones, things that cause us to act in ways that we don't necessarily want to at times. That's why we have to balance out our frequencies and our emotions.
Because the brain is producing these chemicals.
Yes.
We can't escape our brain.
Right. And being woke just helps you see that there are so many things out there that we haven't experienced and that we need to experience. We need to try to go through things that we have never been through before, because that's what leads us into the, different directions in our lives.
Right, new experiences.
Yep. We don't
And
want
woke shows us those social injustices. They kind of just went by the wayside.
Yeah.
Because people just accepted things the way they were.
Yeah. If people weren't woke, we would still have slavery.
Right.
So people becoming woke or having a higher consciousness, there's literally nothing wrong with that.
It's just opening your mind, expanding it.
Yeah.
Neuroplasticity.
I mean, that's what school is supposed to do anyway, right? We go there, we get educated, we're developing and gathering more information. So, of course, we're going to, get woke. Like, what did they expect?
It's a natural byproduct.
Yeah. So eventually we're not going to believe in things like religion, especially because there's nothing that is, evident behind it.
Right. And you're teaching people how to think. You
Right.
can't tell us what to think.
Right. That's facts. And we should learn from each other. We shouldn't just be told what to think and what direction to think in. Right. That's just a superficial society. In order for society to grow, we all have to bring our parts to it. We all have that.
Right. How would a society or a company function if there weren't diverse opinions?
Right. Come on. It has to be different perspectives to really get a bigger, like the whole picture of a situation.
Right.
Because none of us know it all. And if you think you know it all or some being knows it all, then why isn't that being sharing that information? Literally.
Because that being doesn't exist.
Right. So we have to stop, putting all of our energy on the outside and look inside, become woke. And there's nothing wrong with it. Stop
Right.
judging people superficially.
Neo-standing people are different.
Yeah.
It doesn't threaten your life. You don't even have to be concerned with those people.
Yeah.
You can learn how to mind your business.
Exactly. It's so simple, but a lot of people have a problem with this because they want to include everybody in their sorrow and the things that the low energy that they're vibrating. They're just not truly happy people.
Right.
And they're lost. And they don't really know what to do. So they got to stick with whatever somebody told them,
Those conservative ideas.
Yeah.
Let's stick with tradition no matter what.
Right.
That's not how it works. Things
Follow
change.
the leader. And we're actually transitioning from the age of Pisces, which is all about follow the leader, government, and which actually is saying governing your mind, governing your
Right.
mental.
Governing your mentality.
Yes. And we're moving into enlightenment, which is Age of
Exactly.
Aquarius.
Enlightening your mind.
Right.
Becoming more aware. Gaining more information. Leading yourself.
Yes. So we're leaving this dark period into the light period, which will be going on for a couple thousand years. So people are going to have this struggle,
You're
you
going to see
know?
resistance like we're seeing
Yeah.
now.
Oh, yeah. We're seeing a lot of resistance.
Like woke has become the new N word. Woke and DEI.
Yeah. And also anything derogatory, actually. you know, they use woke for it.
Everything.
When
It
it comes
pertains to
to,
gay, trans, women's rights,
yeah,
blacks, other races in general,
exactly.
then it's woke. If it
Right.
pertains to equality and equity, then they're throwing woke at it like it's an insult. What's
Right.
wrong with that?
It's
Things
nothing
should be
wrong.
equal. There's not one type of
Yeah.
ethnic group in the world.
And that's what, life is about. It's elevating and figuring out how to live in harmony, not trying to continue the negative things and tear each other apart.
Exactly.
And that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to take it back to when things were so separate and people were looking at other people as if we aren't the same. And we truly are.
Trying to reverse the progress made
Yeah,
as far as civil rights,
exactly.
which
And
should really be common sense.
yes, it doesn't make any sense to keep on going with those outdated ideas.
Exactly. Antiquated notions.
Right. How is that helping society? How is that helping your own personal life, it- you know, get to the place where you want it to be, to live comfortable, happy, being creative?
You're just being led by groupthink.
Huh.
You're going with the flow of a supposed status quo.
Right. And it's like people think it's weird to think for yourself. That's so crazy to me.
I don't see why when our brains are autonomous. It's obvious that we need to think for ourselves.
Yeah, but they rather, go by something that was already written, ideas that were already formed, theories that were already formed, and that just seems like the correct way of living to them. But
Right.
why can't you think for yourself and have your own theories?
And now we have groups of people who have always been privileged screaming that they're oppressed because of equality and equity.
Yeah,
Things being on fair grounds. People getting equal opportunities at things.
it's crazy.
Now
And
to that group, it's oppression. That's a false narrative.
right. And we should be able to think for ourselves and come to our own conclusions about life, have our own theories. Philosophy is not just about the past. We can also be philosophers like, we are neo philosophers. We're able to think about the world and
Exactly.
see it in different ways.
That's what it involves, thinking.
Yeah. But if you want to stay with the outdated codes, you'll keep getting the same things over and over.
Exactly.
And it's kind of like eating food that's old. You're not gonna have that many nutrients, and you
Right.
might even get sick.
It's going to be pathogenic.
Yeah,
It's not going to have nutritive value.
because that frequency is outdated. That information that the food had.
Exactly. It expired. Just like
So
we can't use a 90s computer program right now. It wouldn't work.
yeah, just like society. So we can't keep going with the same ideas and thoughts. We have to be progressive. That's not a negative thing.
Exactly.
It's actually what we have to do to evolve.
That's why we need government to change up, bring some newer people in,
Yeah, if you
some
think about
younger
it,
people with fresher ideas.
it says progress in progressive. So right there is telling us
Exacts.
it's about progressing and, you know, going to a higher level, doing what's best for our society in this time. Okay. We say neo because it represents to us now or new. which are basically the same.
Yes.
Every now is new, and the only time you can have something new is in the now. So that is why we say
Exactly.
the neo age, because this is for our neo. Yeah, it's not about what someone did in the past. It's okay to learn about those things, but not to base our whole lives around it, because
Right.
they have never experienced the things that we're experiencing
Because
in
we
this
learn
neo.
from the past. We know that.
Yeah. But like I said, those people never experienced this time. So there's a certain boundary, that they can't really give us, a certain level they can't give us because they never experienced it. And that's for us to gather that information so that we can spread that along to the next generation. And
It's
it
the
just
only
keeps
time we
going.
can do it.
Yeah. But we're going to get a lot of opposition. Okay, woke
You will.
ones, don't don't run from it. We have to speak up. We have to talk about it, even if it's family or friends. Don't go away from your woke ideas or thinking different and allowing them to make you feel bad because you don't think the way they do.
And you don't have to.
Yeah, remember
Because
that.
solely adopting a conservative rhetoric will not get us to the future.
Yes,
These people want to go back to the past.
right. And it's so funny because if you think about it, at those times, they did what they wanted to do or what they thought was right for their time. So why do we not do that for ourselves?
Exactly, modern times. You can
Yeah,
adopt certain principles from the past,
right.
but you don't have to live by all of them.
No, because this is
Because
our
some of them won't
pathway.
work right now.
Yeah, so outdated. It's like trying to use a tape cassette in your computer at this time. It's not happening.
Exactly.
And technology is speeding up and upgrading because our minds are upgrading. Our frequencies are upgrading, so we're able to think of things that will show on the external,
Right.
because everything starts with the mind. Anything that's created started
Everything
in the
our
mind.
human created world.
Yeah,
Someone had to think of it before it came to life.
right. Before we even understood what we were looking at, we came up with these ideas of what we thought it was.
Exactly. We imagined.
Yeah. And that is how we continue to do centuries later. So that, there are certain constants that don't change up much.
And certain ones that need to.
Right. So we have to figure what that is for us individually.
Right. For instance, the Democrats, this is not the same playing field y'all are used to. You can't use traditional tactics right now. They won't work. You have to use the same tactics being used on you
Yeah.
and come up with new ones, because tradition right now is not going to work.
Yeah. You have to elevate above the negatives and low frequencies. It doesn't give you enough power. When you're dealing with people on low frequencies, they just want to match your frequency and bring you down.
That's why they say misery loves company.
Yeah. So it's very important to try to vibrate above the negative frequencies. So all of these things that are happening, it's good to be aware, but don't let it affect your happiness. Don't let it bring you to that lower frequency.
Right.
Because it's like a harder way of trying to figure out how to deal with issues. When we have an issue and we're limited minded, then we actually cut ourselves off from seeing the possibilities.
Or if you have too much stress going on, stress can block a solution.
Oh, yes. Stress
Because
is the
you're
number
just
one.
focused on the stress.
Yes. Negative stress is the number one cause of all disease.
It ravages your body.
Yeah. And, being stressed, then you start to produce more cortisol, which we know can definitely break you down, break down your brain.
Right. We need it, but not in excess.
Yes. Yes. It's the chronic cortisol use. It's like always on a fight or flight response or freeze.
You're over adrenalizing yourself.
Yeah. Because we're constantly feeling upset or annoyed, then we're not balancing ourselves out with happiness.
Right.
We have to get to a place where we're happy no matter what's going on around us.
Especially when you really say to yourself, there's things that are out of your control.
Right.
So you trying to control it with your emotion doesn't work. Things you just have to realize. If it's out of your control, there's nothing you can do about it. And there's no point in worrying about it because worry doesn't bring a solution. It brings more stress.
Yeah. Just speak up and do what you want to do. Don't let people bring you down. Express yourself the way you choose. And sometimes we're going to have opposition. Like I said, we're going to have that friction. We're going to have people not like what we say. And, it's okay. That's the way it has to be. We have to.
You need opposition.
Yeah, we need to have that back and forth dialogue during this time and how we're able to see things on a higher frequency. Because when people are being negative and expressing it, they're showing their true colors. They're showing, what they're really all about. But if they never show that, we can never change it. If they just keep it inside and don't talk about it, they'll be thinking it and still treating people bad, but it won't be exposed. And we won't be able to try to shift.
So when they show you, believe them because they're telling you.
Yeah. So we're definitely going to be exposing these anti-wokers because they don't even know what woke is. They spread so much misinformation about what woke is, and they're obsessed with it, literally. It's so crazy to me.
If y'all were woke, we wouldn't be in this position right now.
Right. And it's like something
you would have done your research.
It's like something is, edging them on to be woke, but they're resisting so much that they just go anti-woke. Because there's no point in them even focusing on woke if they don't believe in it, if they don't connect with it.
Because they hear conjecture about it and they just resign to believing it.
Right. It's crazy. But anything you focus on, you're still giving it energy. So by them being anti-woke, they're actually increasing the woke energy.
Yep.
And, seeing all that nonsense they're doing is having people that don't really even, they weren't aware of what woke means. It's helping them be able to see that maybe that is something they want to be, because that's not so bad. So why are you talking down on it? That makes people want to go towards it when you are anti that thing, because they see that your nonsense is not truthful. It's not truthful. It's showing the lies right in our faces.
And sometimes it's so infantile.
I know, right? Really, it's nonsense.
You wonder how to even get away with those lies.
Yeah, it's like, can you please open up your mind? Like, it's not that hard.
Like Donald Trump saying that your kid's going to go to school and come home a different sex. That's preposterous. Makes no sense.
I know.
That's not happening anywhere.
Exactly.
And he never provided one instance of where it actually did.
Right.
Because that will never happen. You have to get permission from the parents. The school nurse is not qualified to do that. What hospital, in agreement with the school, is going to risk themselves getting sued to do that?
None. Okay.
None of that makes any sense. And people actually fell for it.
And the main thing is that, kids can't even get that type of surgery. That's not legal. So
right.
I don't know why they keep on bringing up this rhetoric, but as you can see, a lot of people believe it, and a lot of people, especially religious people, have a problem with trans, so they automatically just believe anything that's hateful against them.
Exactly, because of their prejudices.
Yeah, even if it's not true, obviously, they'll just go with it, which isn't very godlike, right?
Right. Allow it to block their common sense when they know that's not happening.
Yeah.
because you would have already heard about it.
Right.
Somebody would have already been getting sued.
Yep. And that's the type of misinformation that's out there, that's floating around and causing us to have friction in our society.
Exactly.
And we don't really need to have, these outdated religions in the forefront. We can actually have our own groups and our own, thoughts and our own theories.
Exactly. Things change. That's why we have science.
Yes. And for instance, we have our own group called Neo Code Society, and we are a neo philosophy group.
Yes.
We focus on the mind and the neo,
The
the
now.
the now, right? The times for us and how to elevate that time that we're here and, expand our minds. That's what we're here to do and share that information with each other.
Share different perspectives.
Yes. And we call ourselves neocodists because we focus on these neocodes. And what we mean by codes is our theory. We call it the codes or the secret codes. And these codes are actually frequencies. All right.
Right. Fundamental information.
Yes. And these frequencies are what give us the information. It's the thing that gives us the information in anything that you see around us. So energy, right? Everything has a certain frequencies that tells us what that particular thing is, what its attributes are, how it functions.
Exactly. The structure of it or the
Yes.
non-structure of it. Like if something's amorphous, like gases.
Yes. So these codes or these frequencies are what gives everything life. Even us as these living human beings, we can see how the codes or frequencies give us life.
Right.
From the smallest units, DNA and atoms in our bodies have these codes.
From the micro to the macro.
Yes. And these frequencies make up who we are. Another example is our brain, okay? And how we have consciousness.
And different brain waves
Yes.
that are functioning at different frequencies.
Yes. So these codes are actually conscious. They're conscious at their level, and that is actually what gives us consciousness. If you look at the brain, it is frequencies that gives us the information.
Right.
And when we receive information, it's frequencies that go into our brains to help us know what it is that we're looking at, hearing, or interacting with.
And the brain is processing that as electrical signals.
Yeah. So
and then we give ourselves what we think is a conscious picture of the world.
Yes. So literally everything is frequencies and information, which is in everything.
Right. That's the amazing thing about the brain. It's amalgamating the information it's getting from all of the senses and giving you one unilateral picture.
Yeah, it's so wild. So when you focus on the frequencies around you, inside of you, you can see life in a different way. When your energies and low frequencies, everything around you seems to be low energy. And you seem to
Right.
attract a lot of low frequencies.
And even your brain waves are changing at that point.
Yeah. That's why you'll feel extra stressed or extra, with these like extra emotion, heavy emotions when you're in a low frequency. And then when we're in high frequencies, we connect to our happier emotions and happier situations.
Right.
So it's very important to pay attention to your internal codes. And, so when we say that, we're saying balance your energy, balance your frequencies.
Right. Balance is needed everywhere.
Yeah. and you'll have a clearer mind and things will flow easier in your life. But when we concentrate so much on stress and things that are negative, it causes a lot of friction in our mind. And
a lot
then
of
those,
brain fog.
yeah, those codes are all over the place. And that's why it feels like we can't move forward in our lives. So if you feel stuck, it's because your mind isn't open and you're not releasing the stressful thoughts and focuses.
Stress is a big factor.
Oh, yeah, definitely. This is why they stress us out so much. Keeps us in a kind of daze.
Breaks your mind down, breaks your body down.
Yes, and we got to stay strong at this time. We have to see through the nonsense, the BS, and really, go in a direction that feels good to you.
Find ways to mitigate the stress.
Yeah,
Ways to release it.
exactly.
Physical activity, journaling, whatever it is you love to do.
Right. And you can also pay attention to the codes around you. Okay, the codes are frequencies. Also, they might come in number form. Like you might see a lot of synchronistic numbers, like numbers that are doubled, 222, 333, 1111, and those numbers just kind of pop up. Or certain words, you might say a word and a word might pop up. Those are synchronistic moments.
Right.
And so if you feel good when you notice those numbers, it's trying to give you a message. The codes are trying to connect to you. And if it feels bad, it's also trying to connect, but it's trying to like get you to shift into a different direction.
Right. Pay attention. Try to observe your feelings and thoughts at that moment. And are
Yeah.
they in alignment?
That's right. Because it's a lot of stuff going on around us. So we have to make sure we can be balanced inside, and then we can have a clearer mind when it comes to the things that are around us.
And facing challenges.
Yes, that's true. Very, very true. Because it's going to be challenging. Okay. This is like a crazy, energetic roller coaster that we're all on together.
Exactly. And we know that change is a constant. So we're constantly having to adapt.
Right. And we have to have spaces like this, woke spaces, that we can connect to people and we can hear, woke ideas and different perspectives that stimulates our own minds and our own
Right.
inner eye, or as we call it, the 5D eye, because we are upgrading with fifth dimensional codes. Some
Yes.
people say third eye, but yes, we call it the 5D eye. And remember, the fifth dimensional codes are the higher frequencies that are coming in during Age of Aquarius to help us upgrade.
Yes.
All right. And it bothers some people to change. Change is a big, fear at times because our conscious mind,
It's unknown.
yeah, and our conscious mind doesn't like the unknown. Our conscious mind, goes more of the map of what we've been through, and it likes to
Right.
stay in the comfort zone. So at this time, we have to step out of that comfort zone and be in the unknown, because that is how we get that neo information, the neo codes, or something we haven't been through before.
Exact. And the mind likes to refer to the past for solutions, right, Neo?
Yeah, that's so true.
So if it's something you haven't been through and it's unknown, it's unsure of where to go.
Right.
What's the direction?
That's facts. And yeah, we got to make sure that we, just keep our minds open and not give so much resistance. And then we'll have, a better flow, even if we're a little fearful, because we'll move forward and we'll find out, oh, there was nothing to fear. That's actually what we need to do.
Exact. And the good news is we've done this multiple times in life. We've faced lots of unknowns. We've taken on the challenge and we're still here.
Yes, that's facts. Really get that in your mind that you don't have to live up to these outdated ideas or what someone thinks your life should be for you. It's really about what you want for your life. and what makes you truly happy inside.
Exactly.
As long as you're not hurting anybody else or yourself, there's no reason not to go in a direction that makes you happy.
Because the truth is, no one can experience life for us.
Yeah.
So we can't always just do what someone else wants us to do.
Right. Love who you want to love. Why does that matter? Who you love or who you spend this, time, these moments with.
Or what you choose to do, as long as you're not harming anyone else.
Yeah, exactly. So this is our time. This is the Neo age, y'all. Stay Neo. Get your mind into this flow. Appreciate this time, because nobody can experience this time but you. Nobody.
Exactly.
And so that's very special. And the more grateful you are for these Neos or these moments, the more moments you are going to experience that are happy and fulfilled.
Right. And we know for a lot of people, that's a trying time right now.
Yes.
Considering the political situation in this country.
So true. That is why we have our WokeAF podcast. We're here to bring you guys, once again, the woke perspective and the helping battle that misinformation of the anti-woke, fact checking them, because this is ridiculous. Every day in the social world you see anti-woke nonsense, and it really doesn't.
Right.
It just shows how limited minded and how they don't even get what they're saying. They really don't. So don't fall for it. Literally they have no idea what they're saying, and connect with people that are on your frequency and on your wave, because that's important. Don't worry about them.
Exactly. It just shows us how many uninformed people there are, regardless of if you went to college or not.
Right. And it just has you thinking, how can these people just go around and think stuff that even a 5-year-old wouldn't think. So yeah, just don't worry about it.
We know stress is at an all-time high right now.
Yeah, exactly.
Who the hell?
Yeah, who
Exactly.
the hell? Right. Yes, who the hell?
You the hell.
When people ask who the hell, and it's them that actually did the thing that they're talking about.
A little demented.
Who the hell?
Yeah, I'm going to leave us with that, okay? Who the hell? If you don't know what I'm talking about, check it out. Yeah, your Trumpster over there
Mental
forgot
health.
that he was the one that signed, the agreement, the treaty agreement. And yeah, he was like...
He revised after.
Yeah, he forgot he revised it. So, yeah. Don't be a Trumpster, okay?
Mental health.
Do better.
Very important.
Very important.
This is what we end up with.
Exactly.
Who the hell?
Right. All right. Thanks for listening to our WokeAF podcast. Follow and like us on all socials at Podcast WokeAF, at Miss Master Fox, and at Miss Wisdom.
Yes.
And at Miss Master Fox on YouTube. Remember, woke ones, stay woke AF.
Radio. You have now stepped into the fifth dimension. Fifth